Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Create Your Life series, where we help you maximize your potential and results in the area of personal development, entrepreneurship, and travel. And I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown.
Create your life.
Crée ta propre vie.
Create your life.
创造你的生活。
Create your life.
Crea la tua vita.
Create your life.
Ontdek jouw leven.
You better create your life.
Create your life.
Create la vie.
Create your life.
Create your life.
Beautiful people, this is the Create Your Life series. I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown, and it is an amazing day to be here in the studio with you and to be doing these amazing things. We have a guest here today that is actually, I would like to say that she is hacking an industry that is very important to a lot of people. She's the CEO and co-founder of It's By You, which is the do-it-yourself flower kit company. Prior to founding It's By You, she was a media executive, building the digital businesses for Sesame Street and Scholastic Media. She has collaborated with some of media's biggest names to create product, including Netflix, YouTube, Microsoft, and Apple. She's the founder of IntelliToys, a digital media toys company. She was also an investment banker for Solomon Smith Barney and Citibank, and is also a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. She has an MBA from Wharton and a BA from the University of Pennsylvania. She's passionate about education and helping entrepreneurs succeed, and mentors many startups, especially those founded by women. Holla. It's By You is the world's first subscription flower arrangement kit company, and they ship everything you need to make your own flower arrangements, the Farm Fresh Flowers tool, containers, and streaming video lessons. And most designs only take 15 minutes. Without further ado, Create Your Life family, please welcome Caroline to the Create Your Life series.
Thank you, Kevin. Great to be here.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for being here with us. I want to jump right in. What inspired you to jump into the flower industry of all things in such a digital age? It's almost as if flowers are somewhat forgotten about.
Well, actually, flowers are really important to a lot of people. As you kind of mentioned, it's not just for events, but also for the home. It makes people feel welcome. There's all sorts of studies that show that flowers actually make you feel better. We were just focused on an article in Well and Good on all of these benefits of having flowers help you physically, mentally. They calm you down. They lower your blood pressure. They make you feel welcome in the room. They make you more creative. And so I kind of got into flowers because my sister Christine is an award-winning floral designer. She's my co-founder and a 7-time winner of the Philadelphia Flower Show, which is the largest indoor flower show in the world. And Christine was teaching a lot of floral lessons, as a lot of florists do. And around the same time we were thinking about this, Blue Apron had just come out. And so I saw what Blue Apron was doing around providing customers everything that they need to create their own meals at home in like half an hour. But, everything comes right to your door. It was teaching people how to cook. And I said, well, is anyone doing this for flowers? You seem to be teaching a lot of lessons. All sorts of florists are teaching lessons. Can we be the Blue Apron of flowers? And so that's what we set out to do. And we realized how huge the industry was. And we realized that it was mostly women who wanted to make their own flower designs. And yet the industry was entirely focused on flowers as gifting, men gifting to women for Valentine's Day, for anniversary, for birthdays and so forth. But yet 80% of the people who actually buy flowers are women who are buying for themselves. Yet it was a totally unaddressed market.
That stat?
Oh gosh, there's all sorts of floral organizations that do lots and lots of surveys as to who's buying at grocery, who's buying from florists, who's buying online, and it's women.
Who knew?
Yeah, and and then also you got to look at the crafting market in a way as well, because you step into Michael's, you step into AC Moore, any of those craft stores. who's in those stores? It's all women, and they're trying to, make stuff. And so flowers, between the huge market for people who are already buying flowers and who want to learn how to make stuff, it's just this huge combined market. And so, we're the world's first DIY flower kit company. Everything comes right to your door. No need to search for anything, because it's actually kind of hard to source the containers, the tools, the actual flowers themselves, get the right stem count. And then hard to actually, you need that video lesson, because you kind of need to see the technique. It's not like, with Blue Apron, they could say, saute a chicken, and you could kind of find, figure out how to saute a chicken. But if I were to tell you to make a rounded bouquet, you have to see how to do it. Right, exactly. So that's where the media component also comes in, which is where my background comes in, because I have this big background in media. And so Christine's on the creative side, I'm on the business media side, and then we also have a chief operating officer. So it's like a dream team. It's meant to be.
Love it. And how big is your team?
So three full-time, but we had built this company from the beginning to be lean and mean. And so the way that I always saw it is that, unlike Blue Apron, we never wanted to take the risk in owning the flowers. I never wanted to own perishable goods, so we wanted to ship everything right from the farm and everything like that. And so I figured, with a small team and then having a bunch of freelancers and then fulfillment, we could rule the world. And so that's the way we've been functioning so far. Our lead investor was like, Caroline, I don't know how you do it. She's like, you do everything with such little money. I'm like, in this day and age, though, you can start a company without having millions of dollars.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can sustain.
Yeah.
So It's By You has evolved, because it started off as something different. You were telling me, I'll let you explain to us, that it started out as something different, and now it's primarily a subscription-based business. Can you talk us through what it is that It's By You started out as, and how you all figured out that you would go towards the subscription model?
Sure. So whenever you start a company, and especially if you know you're going to have to target investors, you have to target a specific niche. And so my sister, when she was teaching a lot of classes, a lot of the women who were originally coming to her were doing it because wedding flowers are really expensive. And so she was quoting people on wedding flowers, and they were saying, well, this is expensive. How can I do it how can I get it for cheaper? How can I, and so she used to joke, and she said, well, you could do it for cheaper if you did it by yourself or you did it on your own. And so so that's kind of how it all started. So It's By You, when we were part of the Target Techstars Retail Accelerator. And so as we were applying to that accelerator and kind of having initial conversations with investors, they said, well, you have to focus on a market and something that you already know. And so, because we always knew we wanted to do DIY flower kits, and we always knew it was going to go in the way of subscription, but we had to start with something. So we started off with DIY wedding flower kits. And that's what we came into the Techstars program with. And but then we had our customers, and this is kind of what we anticipated in a way, but we had these customers who, they were the brides, they were the bridesmaids, they were, the mothers of the bride. They started reaching out to us after they had done the wedding kits, and they said, I really enjoyed the experience. Can you tell me, can you recommend a kit for the home? Is there a centerpiece I could do? Is there something? And so then we started recommending centerpiece kits that were on our site, but they were focused on wedding. And so people started making that. And then they would come back to us again and said, I really enjoyed that. Do you have another one? And so we were like, okay, this is lending itself to subscription DIY, which is what we were hoping it would get there anyway. And it's home decor. And people just enjoy having new flowers come to them all the time, and learning something new.
So for me, I guess when I think about flowers, I oftentimes think about the maintenance of them to keep them alive. And if you're shipping flowers, how is it that you all make sure that, from farm to home, the flowers stay alive and, are looking good by the time they arrive? So
there's a few different factors that are applicable to flowers, and I guess other perishable goods as well, but flowers especially, because you want them looking fresh and beautiful. So one of the main things is to cut the time in between the flower being cut and the end consumer. So we cut out all the middlemen. We ship right from the farm. So that was one of the things. The second thing is that flowers actually need constant temperature in shipment. Right. And so that's another thing that we do. So we work with farms that have they actually hydrate the flowers once they're cut. They hydrate them in a kind of large room refrigerator, and then they also pack in that room, and they also then ship loaded onto refrigerated trucks and then onto refrigerated planes, and then the flowers come to the States. So it's all about keeping constant temperature and keeping your flowers, getting them hydrated before they're set off for their trip, and then also cutting out all the middlemen.
Who knew to do? Did your sister know that this is what needed to take place? Like, how did you figure this out? Was there a lot of trial and error? Or?
There's, it wasn't. It's actually talking to as many people as possible in the industry. So I didn't come from the floral industry. My sister, meanwhile, was more on the design side. We were not on the operations side, and so it was now about finding the right people who could inform us what are the important variables for us to incorporate into our business and to get things going. So, I mean, we have this fantastic COO who I just came back from Ecuador last week. I was visiting a bunch of flower farms, and even last week I learned every day we're learning a lot about flowers and what's keeping flowers alive, and and how to get the best varietals and how to introduce customers to new flowers that they could never have gotten access to before. Yeah.
And I liked actually some of the names and the designs that you all had on the website. How do you guys come up with some of the names?
Well, we actually use, so some of our names are like French country, rustic cottage, modern farmhouse, all of that.
I like the shoe.
Oh, you like the shoe?
Oh, that was so awesome.
Shoely, madly, deeply.
Yeah.
Pocket full of posies. Yeah, we have some one-off kits, and we also have some subscription kits, but our subscription kits are actually inspired by home decor. So we were looking at various new directions that home decor was going in. And so they were calling some of their, furniture and some of the looks in these magazines, they were calling it rustic cottage. They were calling it, modern farmhouse. Right. And so we're like, oh, we should definitely take inspiration from there, because if we want to go in this home decor side, or we want to go in the coastal, we want to do coastal designs, whatever, we should kind of follow that path as well. And then also as we tag it, for Instagram and everything like that, so to actually use those words, or to even have the designs that have the words in there, it automatically lends itself to a very easy hashtag and for people to find us.
Okay, I love it. Yeah. Speaking of that, being smart about the hashtags that you use, you've recently made some great press and collaborations, and you could talk about some of those if you can. Sure. We'd love to hear. But what have been some of the key factors in making sure that you're building the proper partnerships and getting the right exposure for your company? Yeah.
So. One of the things that we thought a lot about is that, we're a B2C company, and for B2C, usually for consumer psychology, it takes somebody about 7 times to see your brand before they actually decide to buy a product from you. And so we knew that PR was going to be really important for us, paid media, and things like that. And so as we were thinking about, how do we get this going? And so we were happy to say that we were in Oprah magazine. We were on the O list in April. This past April, we're going to be in Shop Bazaar, Harper's Bazaar. In I think next week actually. Hey. We're in Country Living in June. We're going to be in Better Homes and Gardens in September, and so we kind of lined up this kind of PR calendar. And then we're using paid media to have these bursts in PR, right? And so how do you keep that going? So you kind of create a long tail by using paid media. So referring back to Oprah. So like in our Facebook and Instagram ads, we give a quote, from Oprah magazine, and we put that in our Instagram ads or in our Facebook ads. And so that creates the long tail for consumer product. So that way we can, we pay a lot of money to be able to get PR and stuff like that. And we have a great publicist. But yeah, you kind of have to think about when you launch a B2C company, you have to think about it quite holistically. Right. And how are you going to constantly drive traffic? Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And, I think one of the things, Create Your Life family, that I want to highlight too is that Caroline, she has a 3-person staff, and you all did a pop-up shop a few months back. And you were there literally packing boxes
Yes.
and, on the sales floor doing all of these things. So, being involved in the process, at least at this stage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you and your sister got together, with the initial way that you were doing It's By You, how important do you feel like scale was for you? And was that a part of your initial thought process, especially in the floral industry? you know?
Yeah. We're working all the time, and every entrepreneur I know is working all the time. One of the things, though, as I mentioned, we actually don't own the perishable goods. So we're a flower company that owns no flowers, and so that was one of the things where if we could create a machine where we're a content machine, a marketing machine, we are creating recipes and really cool stuff on the creative side, and then we have our fulfillment guy who's able to organize all of that, and then work directly with the farms on that. That's the whole goal. In terms of scale, it was for us, it was more important, and it is more important to figure out, get the technology to be able to scale.
Yeah.
And so what we had created is a just-in-time fulfillment where we deliver to our customers the physical and the digital goods at the same time. The digital goods being the lessons, and so both on the both with the video and then also with the PDF instructions, and then also at the same time being able to deliver the physical goods. And so that's all we built that, and we actually have a provisional patent on the way that we built that, and that sits on top of our platform. So that is actually one of the drivers that allows us to scale very rapidly. And then we also we have relationships with 130 plus farms around the world. So
Wow.
So we've worked really hard. We're this like overnight business that's been building for like 5 years.
Right. Overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to order It's By You, let's say for someone who's abroad, meaning not in the United States, is that a possibility to ship and, have things fulfilled in other countries?
Not yet. But it is on our radar.
Okay.
We are right now figuring out everything in the United States. The thing that's interesting is that it doesn't have to do so much with being unable to do it. It has to do more with looking through, there's so many tax laws and everything too, where it gets actually really complicated. Even for us to ship to Canada is complicated because there are certain things where, to ship directly from Latin America to Canada is a little bit harder. And we're fulfilling, we're going to start fulfilling soon from Canada. I mean, not from Canada, from Latin America. And so there's all these complications around it. We're trying to figure it out. We have a lot of people who are writing to us from other countries because they don't have access as well. But we actually have enough of a big, we have a huge audience here in the United States that we feel is being underserved. And so, we're going to, try to build the United States as quickly as possible, and then hopefully hit Canada next.
And how many subscribers would you say, and you can feel free to share or not share, do you feel like It's By You has right now?
Yeah, we've only been live with our subscriptions about 3 months, and we're shipping out about 300 boxes a month already, and we haven't even turned on the marketing machine yet. So we're really excited about the potential, and our churn is really low. I think we're just really excited about what we created. I think being female founders, selling predominantly to women who are buying for themselves, I think we have a very unique voice. I think most of the flower companies out there, they're founded by guys. No insulting to Kevin or any of the guys in the room. I admire a lot of the flower companies that have been created and that are out there and that are doing cool stuff. But I think, when you're actually servicing a group of people that that you yourself are part of that group, it makes it much easier. So, like my sister and I are the kind of women that would do this. Like we actually, in a way, built the product for ourselves,
right?
And because we wanted to do this, and we saw the need among a lot of other women, and so we have a very, very unique voice, and we do customer service. We are like talking to all of our customers, and if you write to us at hello@itsbyyou, you will get either me or my sister responding to you. So you're talking to the founders, and so it's very important for us to actually listen to our customers and see what they want and create product that they want.
And I think it has helped you get to this place by doing, service and development, right? And discovery.
Yeah.
Because you said that you started off in one vein, but the customers validated. So you weren't using vanity metrics at all because you and your sister love it. You didn't, run with just, we love it. You tried and tested it.
Yeah.
My question for you is, you have an MBA from Wharton, which is very prestigious school to graduate from. Congrats.
Thank you.
Do you feel that your MBA prepared you for where you are now? And if so, how?
It's very interesting because I have these conversations with my Wharton friends, and I graduated with a class of 800 people, and of those 800 people, maybe 15 of us became entrepreneurs. So it's a very, very small. And they were always saying that MBAs, why don't enough MBAs become, why aren't they churning out entrepreneurs? Because in all honesty, we are best trained to start our own companies. And at the end of the day, I think that MBAs, they come out of business school knowing all the risks involved in starting a company and knowing too that, most companies do fail. And so it's the risk aversion that kind of hits after those 2 years, and you're having to pay off student loans, and then life gets in the way and whatever. So you got to kind of keep that energy and drive if you really do want to be an entrepreneur. But I really do feel that Wharton prepared me. Everything that I learned at Wharton, I use almost every single day in running my company. And, I graduated Wharton now, my MBA over 10 years ago. And so, but yeah, from marketing to legal to being able to, even finance, like I always thank God I was an investment banker because I used to structure convertible notes. And, this is, what are the very first way you raise money, and from even your friends and family around, it's a convertible note. Yeah. And, then the investors across the table from me, predominantly all guys, but like they're guys that they were bankers. I was a banker. I speak their language, right. So I kind of already, it helps me as a woman actually to set the table. So, they know where I'm coming from. And so, no pulling wool over my eyes.
I like that. That matters. And from the classes that we were taking together in SOP, you could definitely see that. So you've been a part of Techstars, yes? Yeah. And you've been a part of SOP. Have you been a part of any other accelerators?
We were part of the weekend Rent the Runway Project Entrepreneur, so the very first class in 2016. So that was really awesome. One of the big benefits of being part of that class was that I met all these. It was really the first time I met a ton of other awesome female entrepreneurs from all over the United States, and they have Rent the Runway has done a great job on Project Entrepreneur side of maintaining a really cool Facebook network of us, and so we're all helping each other out. In fact, I'm collaborating with some of the other entrepreneurs that I was part of the class with. So we're doing some really, really cool stuff together, and we're just there to support each other. And so that's pretty cool. Another accelerator I was a part of was called Black Box. Black Box is sponsored by Google for entrepreneurs. Okay. And it's kind of like real world Google. I moved to San Francisco for 2 weeks in December, and we all lived in this like huge house, 15 entrepreneurs from all over the world. And nice. And I was one of the only Americans. And, I was meeting these great entrepreneurs from Africa and Mongolia and Spain and all these places. And I'm like, oh my gosh, some of these entrepreneurs, like they don't even have the infrastructure and they're doing amazing things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have it easy in the United States. I'm in the best country in the world to start a company. These other entrepreneurs, they are not. And I was like, if I think I have it hard, I should just be working harder because
Absolutely.
I have everything given to me here. It's the best place in the world to start a company.
I love it. So before we run out of here, just really quickly, like in 60 seconds, your take on the benefits and the cons of startup accelerators.
Yeah. So choose your accelerator wisely. There are certain accelerators that are totally, worth going. You kind of need to join an accelerator that has a pedigree, and so
Some of those being
Techstars, Y Combinator, ERA.
Okay.
Here in New York. I also think that Black Box was really amazing because it actually grew you. But being an accelerator gives you cred. It's in front of investors. You kind of already have been through. You've been weeded out in a way, right? You kind of made it through, and so investors already know. Okay, she's someone worth talking to. It's the mentoring, the introductions that could be made to other people in the industry. It's all of that. So I think that that's all really good. And to be honest with you, an accelerator forces you to jump full time, right? So usually what you do is you stick with your job until you can't do it anymore and you have to jump full time. An accelerator forces you to do that. So that's a good thing. The cons is that you have to you get as much of it out of it as you put in. So if you don't put enough in, and if you're not putting in the time, then you're not going to get as much out of it. So it's all on your shoulders, really.
Like it. Okay. Well, when we come back, I definitely want to talk to you a bit more about running the family-owned business. I think that's an amazing dynamic. Two sisters going at it, one creative, one not. And I actually had the opportunity to meet your sister, who was super cool. And I could definitely see like the difference in your styles. But I'm wondering how you keep it together and keep it, keep everything flowing. So super happy to talk more about that when we return from this musical break.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Podcast Laundry, a podcast editing service that gives podcasters more time to be creative by handling the dirty work of editing and all of the behind-the-scenes work that podcasters hate. If you're a podcaster, check out our services and purchase a package today. Spend more time doing what you love and let Podcast Laundry do the dirty work for you. Visit podcastlaundry.com for more information. Beautiful people, this is the Create Your Life series. I'm your host, Kevin Y. Brown, and we are back with Caroline Strzalka, who is doing amazing with her company. So, Caroline, please jump back in with us. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay.
So exciting.
Yeah. You're doing an amazing job. And when we left off, we were talking about, you and, your experiences being able to balance with the, with family. Well, actually, that was the question that I had for you is how do you balance your company, with your sister? A lot of times siblings don't get along. Obviously, you and your sister do. She's more creative. You're more business. How do y'all balance it and make things run smoothly on a day-to-day basis consistently?
Yeah, even outside of family-run businesses, I think that when you have co-founders or you have your C-level folks, you have to kind of split what you're focused on, right? So that way you're not stepping on each other's toes. You're letting people have their own autonomy, and so Christine is handling all of the creative product stuff. She is really the creative genius behind this, and I am running the business side. But we then come together to talk about strategy. She shares new ideas with me, and we decide what will go forward and what won't go forward. So we do come together, and I think that one of the things that we're very different people, but we still have the same vision for It's By You. And so she's definitely much more risk averse than I am. I'm not necessarily risk seeking, but I'm the person that will ride the zip line upside down and backwards, and Christine won't ride the zip line, and so we kind of match. We have different personalities, and we kind of balance each other out in that way as well. And it hasn't, it's been. I always tell people it's blood, sweat, and tears. And I mean, we have cried sometimes daily. Being an entrepreneur is really, really hard. We have fought. But and then sometimes too, it's like, unlike with maybe friends that you met in college or in business school or whatever, you don't have these like remnants of being 12 years old, like coming, into your business discussions. But, as you do sometimes with business, or sometimes with family, but at the same time, like, you trust each other, very much. And you also know each other really well. And so I think that is a benefit though, in having kind of like a sibling relationship or doing something with family.
What have been some of the unforeseen challenges that you feel like you and your sister have had to face, while running It's By You?
Yeah, I think one of them is it has been really, really difficult to raise financing as a woman, and it sucks. It's true, but women really only get 2% of venture capital money, and that's up. And that is, that's up. It kind of fluctuates a bit. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, then back down to 2. But still, I've heard 1 a lot. Yeah, and then even for minority women, it's even worse. And so and I mean, it's a slog. And so the challenge though, and I understand very well where these challenges are coming from. It's because you, as an investor, you invest in what you know, and you're getting paid and rewarded based on the investments that you make. And so if you invest in what you know, if you're a guy, and you're in your mid 50s, and and you look and act, and you're a certain, you earn a certain amount of money, or the people that you surround yourself with, they're all very similar to you. If you have someone who's coming in with a concept that's entirely foreign to you because, might be a different gender, might be a different age, might be a different color, you're like, oh, I can't relate, so I'm not going to put my money behind that because I can't relate to that. And so I totally get it. And so the real way that will only really overcome that is when you have more people who are different investing, being in control of the money. So when you have more women, more minorities, so that way you're investing more in what you know. And so that's what we have to work towards. We have to work towards really expanding the wealth among diverse people. And so, but that's been a challenge. It's been much harder, even coming out of Techstars, which is one of the most prestigious accelerators, even Target's invested in our company. And, we have Joanne Wilson as our lead investor. I mean, you couldn't get a better female angel investor on your team. And yet, most of our people who have invested in our seed round right now, 75% are women. And I mean, I've gone after all these ladies because the guys just in general don't understand why would a woman want to make her own flower arrangement. And it's it's one of those things, it's like this hurdle that you can't even get over, right? And so, and then I guess one of the things I hear a lot in meetings that's a little bit frustrating is like, oh, well, let's, I'm going to talk to my wife and see whether she would do something, my wife or my daughter, and see whether she'll do something like this. And so it's kind of like, well, I don't know, like did Bonobos or Warby Parker or any of those guys have to kind of, have this conversation where the investor's like, well, let me talk to my wife. I'm like, no, just kind of look at the numbers, look at the demand. Just let's work off of the numbers here. Just believe in me for a hot second, So it's been a little frustrating. But now I'm at a point where you knock on enough doors, you prove your model out enough. As I mentioned, we were featured in Oprah. We got a lot of people coming through us through that. People are now looking at our numbers more, and I feel like I'm getting a lot of inbound email now, people interested in us rather than me knocking on doors. But to be honest with you, Kevin, that just happened like a week and a half ago.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you. I'm happy for you. Have you received any gender-related challenges? I mean, other than those that you just mentioned, have there been any others? Yeah. And what should ladies who are in entrepreneurship or looking to start their own company, what are some things that they should be able to look out for? Because I loved earlier when you said, I can set the table because I understand the language with the bankers. Yeah. So it's a couple of things. So there's the the kind of the more professional side where you are where you're raising money and where you're talking to developers and everything like that, and you actually have to get a team around you who believes in you. Even your freelancers, everybody has to believe in you in order to build this. So you kind of you have to find those people and you have to convince them. So you kind of have to set the table and use your background. Everything comes full circle. Like I was saying, thank God I was an investment banker, and then I built businesses for Sesame Street, media businesses for Sesame Street. It all comes into play with what I'm doing now around building a flower business and also the people that you meet.
But that's on the professional side. But then on the personal side too, personal relationships are really hard for female entrepreneurs because, the average age for someone starting a company in the United States is actually 40, 41 years old. And if you think about women who are 40, 41 years old, most women are not starting companies. They are taking care of children. They are maybe working at the same time. It really has to do with your energy level. And I mean, I know, like, back to my MBA class, like, so many people are not starting their company, and they came to Wharton with the dream of starting their company. And so I think that a lot of women, and I've seen some studies on this where men who want to start companies, their women are behind them. Like, they're like, okay, I'll take an extra job. I'll put extra time in raising the kids, cleaning the house, whatever. But a lot of men are not necessarily behind their women who want to start companies. And so that's a big challenge because we're having to get over a societal mindset of women in their 40s. Like, do you have the support of your partner in starting a company? And really, in all honesty, the bravery, the courage, the backbone that you get in starting a company, it begins at home. And if your partner does not support you, and if you're constantly questioning, am I doing the right thing? I mean, like, my partner doesn't support me, that will often convince people not to start. Yeah.
And so how have you navigated some of these challenges? What have been some of the keys to you navigating and overcoming them?
Yeah. You got to build an army of people around you who will stand by you. I actually, it's really very interesting. I have this like army of women around me in my life, people that I've met either through these accelerators or through business school or even, in SLP. We always have our family, our SLP family. Right. But I'm always looking for people who will constantly kind of give me that support because you need it. Like, this is the hardest. I haven't raised children, but I've taken care of kids for a long time. But, honestly, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And you kind of need that support, especially if you're doing something that's never been done before. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. And so I'm also hearing that your peer group is primarily entrepreneurs in these support groups that you have who are really cheering you on. Is that right?
Well, actually, I have a lot of people who would never become entrepreneurs on their own. Okay. But they're just like really good listeners and shoulders to cry on. And look, I'm there for them too, you know, and but it's, I would say, the past 18 months now that we've been up and going and it's a thrill, but it is a daily roller coaster.
And how long have you been full time in It's By You versus, because you've had a amazing corporate career as well. So when did you decide to make the jump and what inspired you to say, I'm out of here?
Techstars. So you got to go all in with Techstars. Basically what was happening is that over the past couple years, actually before Techstars, as we were trying to build this company, whatever, one of us had to jump. So like, you kind of like between me and my sister, she was making the product and she was doing filming and whatever, and we're trying to conceptualize. So she's the one that needed to jump. And so, and I was making enough money to support the both of us and our company, and like all the mistakes that we were making in the beginning, you make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. And so, but we were at that point, and then we got accepted into Techstars, and I'm like, okay, so June 2016, I jumped, and been full-time almost 2 years now.
I want to highlight something that you just said that I think is absolutely amazing. You said that you were you believed in It's By You so much and your sister's capability and her vision that you were willing to continue working and support the both of you so that you can get to where you are now.
Right.
That is commendable. That's big.
If you believe in the idea, you got to go for it. And on top of it too, like I always had this, I do have, I have this corporate background. I've done a lot of stuff. And I was like, you know what? If everything goes wrong, I could always get a job. Like tomorrow, if everything goes wrong, I think I could get a job like honestly within a week. And so one of the things that I would encourage people to is that, I always say, stay with your job as long as possible until you absolutely have to quit to start to move forward with your startup where you're like almost bleeding and then you have to quit. But also also like build up your build up your resume, build up, be it through schooling, through your different jobs or whatever. Because if you do happen to fail with the startup, you could always, it's not like you're not going to become a pauper. Like you can find a job and like keep your, LinkedIn as make it your best friend, connect with everybody that you know, and keep those connections warm, because you never know when you're going to need these people, be it for your company or for finding your next thing, just, you always have to, and unfortunately, it's like cooking, right? Like you're cooking a meal, you have this burner going and that burner going, and, and you might have different parts, or you're cooking a rice and cooking chicken, you have something else in the oven, whatever.
Right.
You got to keep it all going.
Keep it all warm.
You got to keep it all warm.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, what I'm also hearing from you is that you're very good at networking and keeping relationships warm. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have reached a point in the interview where I must ask you this question. Can you swim?
Can I swim? Yes.
Yeah, good. Because we're about to jump into the dolphin swim.
Awesome.
Okay. So this is rapid fire.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay. Really quickly. What are your goal setting methods, and how do you measure or make sure that you're growing each year?
Oh gosh, I set goals daily, actually. Okay. I make a list every day, and of everything that I need to get done that day with a larger vision in mind. And so I kind of live by these lists, and I keep a notebook. I fill notebooks all the time with these lists. It's something that's really, really important. And then I do have a vision as to where I want the business to be in 6 months, in a year. I actually just had a great conversation with Joanne Wilson about creating a now 6-month plan that I'm going to have her look over, but what we have lined up for our business over the next 6 months, and the people that we need to help us out, and as well as the money. And so we're creating a map, which is really kind of cool. So it's moving from list to map now, and I'm having my mentors and investors look at that map with me.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. Top tech that you're using to make your business run smoothly?
Slack.
Love it. Favorite quote or motto that you live by?
Just go.
Just go. Like it. And that's by you?
What's that?
It's by you?
Yeah. I guess it is by me. I don't know. I just just do it. Just go. Yeah.
I love it. Favorite or most impactful book that you've read?
Most impactful book. Gosh, so many.
Well, you can give us a couple if you like.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I was reading, the biography of Benjamin Franklin, and it's awesome. Like create your life, right? I mean, all of these people, we now more so than ever have the ability to create our lives. Like through social media, different connections we can make with people. It's so much easier for us now to be from people who to be honest with you, I'm just like a kid from Philly. Like I grew up in a row home, mom was a teacher, dad worked for the government. I didn't come up from any, big background. We're flying without a net. But at the same time, I managed to go to Penn, managed to go to Wharton, was an investment banker. I did all this stuff. I'm like, just worked really, really hard. But also I made my own contacts, and you could do that through LinkedIn and other places now. So, but look at Ben Franklin and what this man was able to do. And I was like, gosh, if they could do it back in the day and it was so much harder,
right.
I was like, I could be like Ben Franklin.
Absolutely. 3, you know what? I want to ask you something really quickly. Who's one of your sheroes?
My sheroes. Let's see. You know what? I've been thinking about it a lot. Reese Witherspoon is pretty awesome. I really love what she's doing now in getting kind of parity to have women in media, actresses, producers, all of that. And, she created her own company called Hello Sunshine, which where she's producing, she's having different female writers, whatever kind of, write to her and they're actually producing those films, and she's just going for it, and she's putting a ton of her own money in. So I really admire what she's doing.
Love it. 3 jewels that you would tell someone looking to create the best life.
3 jewels.
3 jewels.
Let's see, 3 jewels. So I keep have grit. make connections with people. And constantly, I guess this ties in with grit, but constantly work on yourself and, be it building yourself up through education or through knowledge. So that way, no matter what goes wrong, you will always be protected. So build that around yourself.
Okay.
Yep.
Love it. Okay. What's next for you?
What's next for us? We're gonna take over the world. Honestly, I see It's By You kind of being the new 1-800-Flowers for the digital age. I don't think that there's anything stopping this company from going public in the future. I am shooting for the stars, and I think
shoot for the moon, for the galaxy. It's got to be higher than the stars.
Higher than the stars.
Stars are too low for you.
Yeah, no, I do think that we are doing something really big, and I think it could actually transform the world and transform this industry. So I'm really excited about it.
Awesome sauce. How can we keep in contact with you?
Sure. Feel free to, come to itsbyu.com, itsbyu.com. You could write to us at hello@itsbyu, HELLO at itsbyu.com. And also, if you want to try us out, we have one-off kits and we also have subscription kits. And we have a 20% off discount for our subscriptions, which is FRESH20. That's FRESH 20. And you could just enter that in and you'll get 20% off of your first subscription delivery. So try us out. And if you write to us at hello, like I said, you'll either get me or my sister. And so feel free to, just drop us a line.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So Caroline, we have also reached a point in this interview where we go to the turnaround. So you are now in charge of this interview. You are, you get to ask me, Create Your Life Family. You know what this means. She gets to ask any questions that she wants. She get 3, and I have to answer them no matter what they are.
Okay. So Kevin, when's the last time you did a flower arrangement? Have you ever done a flower arrangement?
Like a DIY?
Yeah.
No. So
No.
I think that
I think we're going to have to do a workshop together.
I would love that.
Maybe with the whole SLP family, we'll get that all together. I've always been meaning to. Yeah.
That would be interesting. I would be very interested in that, actually.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite flower? Do you know any flowers?
I know roses, but when I see roses, I'm always interested in unique colors, so like a pink, a blue, a yellow, or something like that. I can never tell whether or not they're dyed or not dyed, but I'm like, don't just get 12 red roses, or 1 rose, get a white rose, and I have no idea if they have any meanings behind the colors, but I just like colors.
Yeah, I was at a farm last week where I was had 130 varietals of roses, so.
In colors?
Different colors and everything too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures? 'Cause I would like
I have
to
a
see
ton
that.
of pictures. I'll show them to you. Yeah,
Please.
they're really cool. And let's see. And yeah, so what is next for you?
What is next for me?
Yeah.
I'm actually working on something that's kind of cool. I'm starting a podcast editing service. As an extension of Create Your Life, I've been having a lot of conversations with others who have shows and podcasts. And, just like for me, editing can be a huge task that we don't care to do. And so being able to offer that and help other people out is something that I'm very interested in. But immediately for the show, we're growing. We're on SiriusXM now, channel 141. So super excited about that. Thank you. So that's big. And at the top of the year, we'll be moving to Africa for a bit.
So exciting.
Yeah. So super excited about that. Kind of have the cities and places like mapped out. So it's going to become really, really fun. So
awesome.
Super excited. Yeah. That's my life.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kevin.
No, thanks for coming on, Caroline. You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
All right.
You always do an amazing job.
Thank you. All right. Well, Create Your Life family. Thank you for being here. And, we'll see you next week. Beautiful people, if you enjoyed this episode of the Create Your Life series, be sure to download it from our podcast, which is available on createyourlifeseries.com, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Google Music. Also, be sure to leave a review of the podcast. You can catch us live on Sundays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via 90.3 FM in New York or on Facebook Live at facebook.com/KevBrown1. We encourage you to participate in the conversation on Facebook or call in at 212-650-6903. Follow us on Instagram at CYLS Series and at Kevin Y. Brown. Be blessed, and we'll see you back here live next week.
Create your life.
Crée ta propre vie.
Create your life.
创造你的生活。
Create your life.
Crea la tua vita.
Create your life.
Ontdek jouw leven.
You better create your life.
Create your life.
Revitalized.
Create your life.
Create your life.